Princess of the Amazons. I won't be denied.
Hello everyone, thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books, I love talking about them, and I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the DC fan site that I have plot synopsis and character bios for this issue. So I am going to collect some old videos that I have done, and we're going to continue John Byrne's run on Wonder Woman. These are videos that I have already posted. So we're going to be doing Wonder Woman's 109 through 112. We're going to keep it a little bit shorter than the last video here. These 4 videos total just a little bit over an hour. And I didn't want to do 8 videos. It was going to be like a 2-hour thing, and most people just aren't interested. Heck, an hour may be too long, but it's one story arc. So that's what we'll be doing today. Anyway, like I mentioned before, it was already these have all been done, but they've been edited a little bit so that they don't get too repetitive. I do have a playlist. I mentioned that a few times. I have a Wonder Woman playlist. Feel free to check that out if you would so like. Like and subscribe. I do thank you so much for listening. Goodbye. We are going to be looking at Wonder Woman 109 from 1996. Written and drawn by the one and only John Byrne, featuring The Flash. Great cover here. Worth a second look. Man, John Byrne is so good. And I really enjoyed this period of John Byrne. Man, the dude was an ink slinger. Thick inks, everything was just amazing. So here we go. So we see an airplane flying above Gateway City. The captain is telling everyone to prepare for landing. They'll be in the airplane or in the airport within 5 minutes here. And he tells the people, those on the left can get a view of the city. Gateway is supposed to be like San Francisco. And those on the right side will have a good view of, and then the guy goes, a teenage girl with wings on her heels. So, and the guy is like, so real quick, I just want to let you know that in 1996, they didn't have, they had already gotten rid of the two, I think it's the flight engineer and the whatever. It by then it was pilot and co-pilot. I don't think any airlines were using flight engineer and whoever was out there. So I think the reference material he was using was probably dated, or he was going by memory. Maybe he hadn't had a flight in forever, but by the time the 90s rolled around, it was captain and co-pilot. So, and so here's Cassie, and Wonder Woman is going. Here's the credits. So you see it's a Lex Air. So Lex Luthor owns the airplane. Great. Just John Byrne. What an amazing artist he is. This guy doesn't take shortcuts. So Wonder Woman says, try to steer, Cassie. You've got too much of a head start on me. I can match your speed, but I can't catch you, which is not true. Wonder Woman is quite powerful. The story here, is called Level 1. So, and Cassie's like, how do I steer? I don't even know how I got this high this fast. And Wonder Woman says, the sandals of Hermes responds to the needs of the one who wears them. Will yourself to turn as you would your leg to take a step. So, that sounds way too easy, Diana, but I'll try. And suddenly she screams as she falls, and Wonder Woman calls her out. So Wonder Woman um, thinks aloud. She says if she gets back into the confines of the city, she could really hurt herself. There are far too many spires and protrusions in the tops and sides of the buildings. So, man, look at all this. Wow. Cannot believe it. It's just amazing he drew all that. Yet, he takes shortcuts with the lasso. It's amazing. The lasso he takes a shortcut on, but everything else he's like putting in. Anyway, Cassie goes, "Hey, I think I'm getting the hang of this. All I have to do to go faster is want to go faster. All I have to do to turn is want to turn. All I have to do to stop is want to stop." And then she's like, "Whoa!" And then she falls again. Um, and Wonder Woman catches her. And she's like, "What happened? Suddenly I couldn't fly anymore." And Wonder Woman says, "You were fine while the adrenal rush was driving you, Cassandra, but when you stopped at the top of the flight, your body was for a moment in a free fall, and then instinctive fear overpowered your brain. So, that is precisely why I told you not to overextend yourself the first time you used the sandals of Hermes. The first time, then the first time, then you will let me try it again sometime. Perhaps, but I cannot help but wonder what your mother would say if she knew." "Oh, she just complained like she always does. Mom doesn't realize I'm old enough to take care of myself." Typical teenager. I mean, look at the situation even. She's gone out of town for all of one night, but she asked you to babysit me like I was a little kid or something. So let me get this straight. This woman asked Wonder Woman to babysit. That's awesome. "You are her only child, Cassandra. It is only natural for a mother to worry as Helena does." Man, my mother left me alone once for a week while she went to Virginia. We lived in Florida. Alone. Mom wouldn't. Jeez Louise. "Sure, but if I have a kids of my own someday, you can bet I'll let them know. I'll know when to let her do what she wants to do." And so Wonder Woman says, "Well, perhaps your mother will be willing to grant you more liberty now that she has other things on her mind. She and Jason Blood seem to have become quite fast friends since he moved here to Gateway City." Jason Blood, of course, is the demon from Jack Kirby. Jason Blood, yeah, he's all she seems to talk about these days, but she can't be serious about him, Diana. I mean, the guy really is really tall. So, I mean, he's got that white streak in his hair. I mean, what do you mean, Cassandra asked Wonder Woman. She's taking off her little tiara there. I don't know. I keep trying to say something, but something else keeps coming out. And so Wonder Woman thinks here, that must be what the Phantom Stranger meant when he said Cassandra would have a difficult time revealing what she knows. She saw Etrigan, the demon, change back to his mortal form of Jason Blood, but somehow the stranger has created a block in her mind that prevents her from doing this, which happened in Wonder Woman 107, which I have covered because I have covered every single issue of John Byrne's and will continue to get to his entire Wonder Woman run. So we are still in the beginning, but I have covered 101 to the last one, so 101 through 108. So, and I also have a playlist available if you have missed one. So, now, excuse me while I don a more suitable attire. We only have a few minutes or so before we must meet Mike Shore. Is it Shore? Score? SCH, like school, maybe score? It would be score, right? I keep wanting to say Shore. You know, I have to tell you, I've been living in this country. I'm Puerto Rican. I've been living in this country more than half my life. I moved I moved to Florida when I was a preteen. So I think I was 12. And I still this is still the most complicated language in the world. I just so many rules. So, what do you guys think? Score or shore? I think I'll go with score, like school. Score. So, we're going to say Mike's score. All right. So she says, and speaking of people having other things on their minds, you and Officer Score seem to be pretty hot these days. And so now they're walking. I love how John Byrne puts in enough details. He doesn't just, give you a close up or anything. He just that's pretty cool. Stood by me when Darkseid and his troops attacks the Mascaria, my home, and he has been a good friend in the months since I moved here to Gateway. And Cassandra's like, but more than that, I cannot say. Well, he sure looks at you like something's going on. So, that is a problem I seem to have with many men, even fellow warriors. But I don't think Mike really. And then Mike says, Diana, Cassie, over here. And then, geez, Mike, she's a whole head taller than you. Hi, Mike, who's your friend? And so Mike says, Cassie, Diana, this is my sister, Maureen. Mo, this is Cassandra Sandsmark and Diana. Again, I like how he adds, if you take a look, I mean, he lets you know the setting and he draws it. What a masterful storyteller John Byrne is. So many artists just take shortcuts, and this guy just shows you the entire thing. So, and then he can, once he shows you all that, he can then take, he doesn't have to do it in every panel, just enough so that you get the setting, and then he goes by, and it's just amazing. He's such a good storyteller. What an amazing artist John Byrne is. Should you be saying that, Mike? I mean, don't superheroes have secret identities or something? And Wonder Woman says some do. I have never found such a thing to be necessary. Although I am told it may be necessary for me to adopt a second name in order to have a regular paying job. That's awesome. So, when DC reverted and did the Crisis of Infinite Earth in the 1980s, Diana during the 60s and 70s, I believe she did have a secret identity. But it was undone after Crisis. So I think she should call herself Diana Princess. Like Princess Diana, Diana Princess. And somehow Diana Prince sounds better to me. By the way, Diana Prince was her secret identity back in the day. So they're reverting to that. Maybe, but then she might get mixed up with the doofus who calls himself, and that's Prince. Rest in peace, Prince, one of the greatest musicians of all time. And that's why they called him the artist formerly known as Prince, because they had no idea what this was. It was just a symbol because he was in a contract dispute with Warner Brothers. And they're like, what did you say? And then the waitress comes, ready to order, folks? And suddenly, this big gust of wind goes in, moving everybody aside. And again, Byrne just giving you the information. It's awesome. And then here again, man, John Byrne is great. So, man, I could spend the entire video just telling you how great John Byrne is. But I'll just move on here. Gods and Goddesses, what happened here? It was awful. Every window in the street just blew out. And then there was this tearing wind. It's like somebody set off a concussion grenade in every storefront in the street. And then this guy here says, no, it was something like something's wrong. It came whipping down the street faster than lightning. and all I could see was a red blur. And then Wonder Woman says a red blur, which we already know. Um, and here we go as the Flash goes through. And they're like, "Holy cow, the Flash! That's not the Flash. His costume is wrong." And so Wonder Woman says, "You're right, Cassandra. The basic design is the same, but the details are different. Who are you, stranger?" I don't know what the details are wrong because it looks. I don't know what details. Maybe we'll see. Um, his costume looks right to me. So he's using like that, creating a wind super speed, so making everybody go away. And so Diana says he may not truly be the Flash, but he seems to possess the Flash's powers. If not his skill or caution, in using them, I must find a way to subdue him without harming him. What did they say was his costumes are? The details. He looks fine. Once again, Byrne takes a shortcut with the lasso, but we'll show you everything else. So Flash takes off running. Wonder Woman goes after him. He's causing untold damage with his indiscriminate use of his full speed in the confined spaces of the city streets. Man, that dude, and I bet you he drew all this in just, half a day. But at least it makes him easy to follow, and I will need that advantage. Mine may be the speed of Hermes himself, but I'm no match for the speed of the fastest man alive. So we are now most likely Mount Olympus, I would say. So here, are you pleased, sire? Yes, the effect is starting. The effect is startling, but in keeping with my desires. And then off panel. Then you mean to continue with this scheme, my lord, despite my best advice against it? I have heeded your advice many times, old friend, but this is a decision I have made myself, and I mean to follow through to the bitter end. And so this guy says, and bitter it may be indeed, my son. This is a wound you have allowed to fester too long. Set aside the thoughts of vengeance that fog your mind and corrupt your soul. Perhaps with the successful completion of this adventure, I can at last set aside the pain and hatred. I can at last be free. And to begin, it is time the world learned it has a new champion. So I wonder if this is Hercules. The DC version of Hercules. So, and could this have been Zeus? So, all right. So Wonder Woman back on Earth. Wonder Woman's there. He stopped. He seems weak and disoriented. Flash, or whoever you truly are, clearly you're in some manner of distress. Let me help you. And so he surrounds Wonder Woman. He moved too fast for me to react. He's modulating his speed, causing alternating up and down wind forces to change too swiftly for my flying power to compensate. So, and she's falling. He's gonna catch her. Then he gives her a big kiss and then leaves. What was that? His kiss was so hesitant, so clumsy. A kiss such as one might expect for a boy completely unfamiliar with the ways of men and women. A boy playing at being a man. Now I have him. I must alter his course to avoid collision. And at that moment he does. I can intercept. And then the Flash, of course, flies up. And Wonder Woman is an inspired move. I was anticipating him breaking either left or right, but not up. still, there is something in the way he moves, the way he pushes. He uses his powers, and he's like, she screams no because he's uh shoving people aside. The fool, he's completely oblivious to the havoc he's causing, and people are falling. So Wonder Woman is catching all of them. I like the vertical panels Byrne is using. Somehow there is a pattern forming here in the way he acts, the way he uses his powers. What am I missing? What am I not seeing? I have him now. If he tries to run up the wall this time, I'll be ready. Blast! I had forgotten that ability. Oh, I love the use of the word blast. It's the Marvel curse words, but DC had already been using damn by this time, so it's kind of funny. He has used his speed to vibrate through the wall, but if he has not turned while out of sight, there is one thing through which he will not be able to pass. No force on earth can break through my magic lasso. And so you can see Flash kind of, and then she goes around and traps him. There, you will be doing no more running today, my friend. Now it's time for some questions to be answered, such as who you really are and how you are able to so precisely mimic the powers of the Flash. And so Cassie and Dan are like, you got him. Yes, and we will begin, I think, by finding out who it is I got. And then she takes off his mask. That sure is not Wally West. No, this face is not known to me. And he begins to vibrate, and Dad's like, he's trying to bust out of that lasso of yours, which he does. And he's like, what in the blazes? There's nothing left of him but dust. I feel like nothing I have. It feels like nothing I have ever experienced. So fine, yet almost alive. What can it be? And here we have that Lazarus. And we see that man sleeping, and we see here the Flash. And it's putting like the videotape, like a VHS tape perhaps. And you can see here Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, Superman Part 2. So, and we see the Green Lantern one being taken. And we see like a video. So we are continuing our run of covering John Byrne's Wonder Woman run. I should say we should... never mind how I said that. So I have started from 101. I have a playlist with that, so if you'd like to start from the very beginning, feel free to do so. So here we are looking at number 110 from 1996. And we, of course, already see who the antagonist is. Sinestro from the Green Lantern Corps. So, great cover by Byrne. I love this period of John Byrne. He was such an ink slinger during this time. So, I think the dude was going straight to... inks. Like I think he was just putting in a little bit of roughs and then just going straight to inks. So our title is Level 2, and you can see the credits here. John Byrne is the writer artist. So we got Sinestro. I think John Byrne is also doing lettering, but I believe this is computer lettering by this time that he was doing. So it was based on his own handwriting, and then he just put it in. I don't think he was hand lettering these at this time. So Sinestro is using his ring, And here you can see the police helicopters. This is the police. Stop what you're doing and go immediately to the ground. Look what he's doing. Look what he's doing. And so we got this gorgeous double page spread, and he's of course calling out Wonder Woman. You can see the path of destruction that was used. I think in this one he could have done a little bit of perspective, but who am I to criticize the great John Byrne? But all right. So this pilot says, Wonder Woman, what does he want with her? Doesn't this clown usually mess with Green Lantern? And the other pilot says, maybe he's looking for a little variety in his diet. Whatever it is. And so they start shooting at him. And this guy's like, man, I promised my old lady I'd be home early tonight. So, of course, Sinestro uses his ring as a shield. And then takes care of that helicopter. And they're like, we're too low for the parachutes. And then Sinestro catches him, and the other guy's like, he saved us. So he goes, what are you nuts? What are you doing? And this guy's like, we still got a job to do here. I'm going to arrest this creep. He's like, okay, buddy, take us down to the ground now. And so Sinestro laughs and, of course, obliges. I like how John Byrne is doing the silent thing. I mean, you can tell exactly what's happening with no thought bubbles or anything like that. It's refreshing because there are some that are so verbose, and so this guy's like, what are we gonna do? And the other guy's like, the only thing we can do, as Sinestro's getting away, find a way to contact Wonder Woman. And so we are at her apartment here. So I think his name is Mike Shore or Score. I think I'd had this debate last time. I couldn't tell. I think it's like school. So I think it's Score. But anyway. He's picking up the newspaper. Never thought I'd live to see the day you'd become second-rate news, Diana. And so here we go with this, who is the champion? And Wonder Woman is, that concerns me far less than the arrival of this new superhero, Mike. Who is he, I wonder? Why is he here in Gateway City? And then little Cassandra says, maybe Gateway is the cool place to be now, Diana. The new metropolis. And so this is Cassandra's mom. And she says, somehow I doubt it. Though it does seem as though a lot of strange things have been happening around here since Diana came to town. Mike says, oh, it's probably like when I was in college and grew a beard. Suddenly it seemed like everybody had a beard. We haven't paid much attention before to the doings of various superfolk, but now that we know Diana, we're more aware of it. And Wonder Woman says, would you agree with that, Cassandra? You seem to have followed the exploits of various of my superpowered colleagues. Does it seem like there is more or less of such activities here in Gateway since I arrived? And she says, well, since you arrived, we've had evil gods, demons, sorcerers, giant robots, walking tapestries. I guess I don't remember a whole lot of stuff like that happening around here before. And so the phone rings, and Mike picks it up. So, and he gets some news. He's like, what? And Wonder Woman changes as we kind of just we're just kind of told that Sinestro at this time was supposed to have been dead. We do know it's comic books. Nobody's ever dead. But Wonder Woman arrives, and she goes, or she tells him to stop the senseless destruction and asks him what she wants. Uses his ring to try to grab her, but she moves out of the way and kind of uses the ring back at him. He's still not talking. He cages her, but of course, she's Wonder Woman. So, again, Sinestro's still not talking. And so, as they're watching Wonder Woman battle Sinestro, um, Cassie's mom, I really forgot her name already, but she's like, "Oh, be careful." And of course, Cassie's like, it's Wonder Woman. He'll beat him up. So, the phone rings again. Cassie picks up. Says Diana's kind of busy. She can take a message. And she's like, no way, no way. And she picks up, and it's Wally West, who was the Flash at this time. And he says, hey, Diana faxed me a picture of that fake Flash she fought yesterday. So she says, are you able to shed any light on this matter? She says, not much, except to tell you that the face in this picture is Barry Allen, the man who was the Flash before me. But Barry has been dead for several years now. So, at the same time, Wonder Woman's noticing that this is beginning to resemble her battle with the false Flash. So, same thing, it appears to be Sinestro, but doesn't behave exactly as he should. So we're going to have another double page spread. So in the trade paperbacks, they would put these things to accommodate for the double page spread. So, all right. So he runs away, and she's like, where's he going now? And suddenly they're going to the bridge, and he's cutting it. And of course, she's like, no. I really do enjoy it. Look at how much detail John Byrne puts in. Just amazing. A lot of people wouldn't do this, but not John Byrne. So she's using her rope to try, or her lasso, to try and catch that part. Diana, of course, is very strong. Wonder Woman is one of the strongest characters in the DC universe. So she can go toe to toe with Superman, Doom, anybody. You can put her in versus anybody, and she can hold her own. So. And so while she's holding the bridge, he, of course, is taking care of these buildings. So she has no choice but to drop this part and go over there. And so he builds a wall, but of course she goes right through it because she's not immune to the yellow the way the Green Lanterns were. So this, I believe this is Hercules. From the DC's Hercules. And so he's watching this. He's like, this is not good. If the Amazon is killed before I encounter her, all my plans will have been for nothing. What shall you do, my lord? I shall remind you once again that you are to address me only as Mr. Champion. And then I shall go forth and see what aid and assistance I might render Wonder Woman. I think it's Hercules. I haven't read this in forever, so... Probably since it first came out. So, this is accelerating a plan which I view as already ill-considered, my son. Are you sure this is the course you wish to take? Of course it is not, old friend, but the fates are not always accommodating to our needs. I don't think it's Hercules. We'll find out together, because I'm reading it for the first time with you. Or not the first time, but the first reread. I used to read these beforehand, but I said, what the heck? Let me just read it with everybody else and be just as pleasantly surprised as you guys are. So, all right. So, Wonder Woman is trying to appeal to Sinestro's humanity, for lack of a better word. This one looks like she's roller skating or something. This one looks like a zombie, so... But for the most part, great job. Do love the people going over the cars. And so... Sinestro hits Wonder Woman and then is finally able to trap her. And so Mike, of course, sees it, and he's like, blast him, and they're like, are you nuts? You know what he did to that chopper. And so I'm not saying we won't get our heads handed to us, but there's a chance we might distract him long enough for Wonder Woman to do something. I love the Inkslinger, John Byrne. Yeah, come on, you want to live forever? And so they all start shooting, but Sinestro dismisses them, and soon someone catches his ankle, and it's the champion. And I love how Byrne, I'm going to show this panel, I love how Byrne goes from one to the other. Just great stuff. Great storytelling. And so he grabs the guy. He's like, have you not learned that a warrior must be ever on guard against an attack from any quarter? Learn now your first and hardest lesson. And so he, is this blood? I think it's blood. Maybe crushing him or something. And she's like, it's happening again. He's vibrating just as the capture flash did. In a moment, he will. And then, of course, he blows up. And so in the previous page, this woman was like, this is your doing. The paper says the fake flash full, but exploded into white powder. And we both know what that has to be. And he's like, don't be ridiculous. Chris would never do anything like this. Chris, this isn't Chris. It's an artificial construct you created with your virtual reanimator. Chris is dead. No, his body is dead, yes, but I have preserved his mind, his soul here on these computer banks. So, that's what you keep saying, but you know it isn't true. You never claimed before that your machines could do anything but create a quantum clone of the subject. It's only your despair over the death of your son, of your only son, that's clouding your reason. You've been letting Chris run the system like a video game. So, and of course, the dad here is like, Chris loved video games. I let him use the tape library to create fantasy environments to keep him entertained while I have a stable body ready for him. And so you can see the tape of Green Lantern being put back. And so the mom says, yes, don't you see, these aren't fantasy scenarios. Chris is accessing the proto-matrix material to create his own quantum clones. He made one of the Flash. He sent it to battle Wonder Woman. The computer can't distinguish reality from fiction. Chris thinks he's playing a video game, but he's really destroying, killing. And of course the dad's like, no. And she says, then prove me wrong, Lazarus. And so he says, you are wrong. I will prove it. And so yesterday morning, there were more than 2,000 kilos of proto-matrix material in the pods. Now, and, well, am I right? How much is gone, Lazarus? And he's like, it's not so much. Okay, it's not so much what's gone. And then she's like, what is it? Something's shifting the matrix masses. Hundreds of kilos are being pumped into a single pod. And she's like, can't you stop it? Can't you do something? No, Chris is overriding all the system's inhibitors. Quick, check what tape he's running. And she's like, oh, Lord. And so she's like, shut down the system, shut it down. And this guy's like, too late. You were right. Chris doesn't understand that this is real. You can see, bum, 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 bum. Are you ready for the reveal? Boom! He recreated Doomsday. We are continuing the John Byrne Wonder Woman run. This is from number 111 from 1996. I love this era of John Byrne. I absolutely love the big, black, bold lines. Doing a bit of hatching, which he normally doesn't do. Hatching was the era. But you know, he's trying to, I just love it. If you take a look, at this period of his, it's just so lovely. I just can't tell you how I admire his growth. John Byrne is one of the all-time greatest. Um, he is in the top 10 of greatest of all time. So, I don't know where you would put him, but he's got to be in the top 10. He may be number 10, he may be number 1. You know, that his volume of work is astronomical, and this series that he did is underrated. And he actually had a good run here. So, we're pretty much taking where we left off. So, great, absolutely great splash here with Doomsday. And just a full page splash. Look at that. Oh my goodness gracious. Look at that. Amazing. Oh, all right. And then if a splash wasn't enough, we get this double page spread. The title is Level 3. Each chapter, it's level, and then it just keeps going here. We got the Gateway City fighting Doomsday here. We all know it's not the Doomsday. I have John Byrne's run from 101. So all 11 issues are on the playlist. We are going to go all the way to the end. So, all right. So the Scop here says, "It ain't possible. It can't be him. He got tossed into outer space." And the other guy says, "Yeah, well, he caught the first flight back." Love the expression on the faces. Just, my goodness, he just adds an extra level of detail that you just don't see. Keep firing, keep firing. This mother must have a weak spot somewhere. And he throws. Look at this. The building. I mean, oh, wow. Just amazing, amazing, amazing. So, the truck hits it. Or no, Doomsday hits it. Just tearing down all the stuff. So that reporter was kind of explaining the scene here. I only pray some superhero comes along to stop him before he levels Gateway City. So, all right. So this guy here says, "Now this petri dish contains a small sample of the substance that was left after the destruction of the fake Flash and fake Sinestro." So, which were the previous two issues before this. "Yes, that fine white powder, it tingles almost as though it is alive." And the scientist here says, "Not alive exactly, Wonder Woman, but something close to it. Observe what happens when I attach a live wire to the dish and pass a current through it." And you can see all of a sudden this thing kind of Mike goes, "Holy cow." And the scientist says it's quite harmless. In fact, it's not completely dormant once again. And so it goes back. "But what is it, Doctor? I assume you have some idea," Wonder Woman asks. "Well, as near as I guess, I'd say it's some kind of proto-matrix material. I've never seen any, but based on what I've read, the ways this stuff reacts, that would be my best guess." And so, proto-matrix, says Champion here. Of course, Champion is Hercules. But she doesn't know it, or at least I don't think she does. So the doctor says, "Yeah, there was a big article about it in Scientific American about a year ago. It's an inert material that somehow mimics biological functions when the right kind of energy is introduced into it," as he tries to clean it up. And Mike asks, "But where in Gateway City would there be a supply of that stuff?" And the doctor says, "Well, actually, Gateway is the only place I would expect to find it. The inventor is right here, Julian Lazarus. He's And this cop shows up. Wonder Woman, you got to come see this quick. And Mike says, Kelsey, what in the name of? On TV, you'll see. There. And she goes, Zeus and Hera protect us. It can't be. And Wonder Woman takes off. Of course, she goes right into Doomsday. John Byrne is so good. You know, his She-Hulk run, which we will eventually get through. I'm going to cover everything John Byrne every Wednesday. So after we conclude Wonder Woman, we'll pick up another series, and then after that we'll pick up I'm going to do a John Byrne story until I die every Wednesday. So Wonder Woman says, silence like the false flash in Sinestro. He strikes without sound. And she smashes that statue. Look at this. I try to incorporate this level of detail. I know it's not George Perez. I know that it's a sloppy detail. And I don't mean sloppy in a bad way. I'm just saying you can definitely see he's rushing, like he's not, but he's adding entire scenes. Now he's doing it quickly. I think he's just doing roughs and then just laying down the inks, and he's using a brush with that, which I just think it's beautiful. And I love this. And I mean, look at this, and this is what I mean by details. He's not just doing one or two or three. I mean, he's just adding all the broken stones. That just, wow. All right, so she lassos him, which is funny because the lasso just looks so, it's the only thing that he just doesn't see. He's just like, here's a string, and then just put the little thing. And so he grabs her with the lasso and tosses her. So, and Wonder Woman says, not since I battled Superman have I seen such strength. And she hits that, is that a bus? I think it's a bus. And just, look at this. The windows coming out. What level of, oh my goodness, the master class that someone like John Byrne could teach on composition of a comic book. Look at this. Just amazing. So, my battle with Superman was all play acting as part of a plan to foil Darkseid. That was in Action Comics 600, which was a long time. That would have been about probably 10, maybe 8 years. Because he left. So Byrne was at Marvel. Then he left to go to DC. Then he went back to Marvel. And then he goes back to DC. Oh, and he also does kind of his own thing too. But Doomsday is the deadliest Ernest, and this is the creature who killed Superman. And so we got Dr. Lazarus here, and I think this is his ex-wife. What can Wonder Woman do against him? And Dr. Lazarus says, it doesn't have to come to that. If I can just reach Chris, reason with him. Reason? How can you reason with a computer program? And Dr. Lazarus says, stop saying that. It's not just a computer program. It's Chris. It's my son. No, Lazarus. Okay, so that's not his mom. Please, for God's sakes, you've got to see this for what it really is. Chris is dead. You've used your virtual reanimator to create a duplicate of him in the computer banks. Not even a true duplicate. Something based on what you remember Chris as being, on what you think he should be. She has a point there. And so he says, and what I think he should be is a decent, honest, obedient son. If what you say is true, and it isn't, I will be able to reason with him. Chris, son, do you hear me? Can you understand me? And the computer says, Dad, Thank God the communication link wasn't destroyed when Doomsday broke out of the lab. Yes, Chris, it's me. It's Dad. Now listen to me, son. You've overridden all the inhibitors in the virtual reality system. I can't turn it off. I can't cut power to the virtual clone of Doomsday you created. It keeps pulling more and more power, growing stronger, mutating. And so, the computer says, "What are you talking about, Dad? I'm just playing my video games. I'm not creating anything." And the dad says, "No, son, no. Listen to me. I know this will be hard for you to understand, but you are creating things. The Flash, Sinestro, and now Doomsday. You made these creatures in the VR scanner and the photo matrix. I know you didn't consciously realize what you were doing, but you were. And now you must stop." It's amazing. In 1996, all this stuff was already happening. That's just wild. But Dad, how can I be making this stuff? And where are you? Why can't I see you? Why can't I see anything but what Doomsday sees? And Dr. Lazarus says, "Because you don't have any eyes but his, Chris. You don't have anybody at all. Chris, how can I tell you this? Chris, you're not alive." And so the champion goes, "Foolish female." And by the way, this is he's got like these big pockets, and that's what these things are. This in this era, this version of Byrne, he's just, when he wants something black, he just blackens the whole thing, so you don't see anything. But that's what this is. So if you think this looks a little weird, it's these big pockets that he has. So she flew out of the precinct house without a thought for me. She has gone to face this unbeatable menace alone. Once again, I'm compelled to action that was never part of my original plan. Once again, I must go to Wonder Woman's aid lest she perish in battle before she has served my purpose. There, she is holding her own against the monster, but she is bound by her Amazon code to fight fairly. Again, this is that pocket. And look at this. Just, again, it's not like he's drawing every single pebble, but, I mean, look at this. He also is not giving you a white page with just... So here comes the champion, which again, it's Hercules. Fortunately, I'm in no way restricted. But then it hits Hercules. This is what I meant by the like pockets. So there goes Hercules, and he lands on that car. And they put this because of the double to make the pages sync. Diana's in big trouble. That champion guy didn't even go one round with Big D. And so the mom's like, "Yes, sir, I know she works for me, but there's nothing I can do. She only lectures at the museum. I can't tell her what to do with her superheroing." And Casey's like, "Mom, come on, we gotta go help Diana." "Yes, sir, I'm reasonably sure she won't take this fight anywhere near the museum. No, not like last time, no." And the mom's like, "Cassie, please, I'm talking to the chairman." And so Cassie's going to go and try to help Wonder Woman herself. Again, look at I mean, goodness gracious. It's so good. He gives you goodness. John Byrne is masterful. So, perfect. Oh man, Diana's gods must be looking over my shoulders today. And so she's putting on Hermes' sandals, which I think it was last issue, or it could be the one before that. I don't remember, but like I said, I've covered the entire run so far, so you can see Hermes' and so off she goes, and she's gonna wear a disguise so she can be a superhero too. So she just puts on um, a wig and glasses. So here she goes. And she's going to try to distract Doomsday here. And Wonder Woman's like, who? And then she's like, Cassandra. And she's like, don't call me that, Diana. People might hear you. Call me Wonder Girl. And then Doomsday just bam. And Wonder Woman's like, no, Cassie. And she's like, no, 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 no. She's alive, but only thanks to the Gauntlet of Atlas, multiplying her strength and stamina tenfold. She, and of course, is dazed like Diana. And then Doomsday hits her from behind and then grabs her and just tosses her and tosses her. So brutal, goodness gracious. And just keeps tossing her. And then picks up this gigantic bus with Diana down. And he's gonna just throw that at her. Wonder Woman number 112 from 1996. Beautiful cover. I love this era of John Byrne, the ink slinger. Look at this heavy ink that he's just laying down. Oh, absolutely gorgeous. So, we're now in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and John Byrne never skips on the background. And so we got some kind of diner here. Can somebody do something like what? You remember what he did to Superman? This person here says, where's Polly? She's always reading the articles about Wonder Woman in the newspaper. And the guy goes, Polly, leave be them dishes for a bit and come see this in the TV. And she says, what is it, Ephraim? And she says, just take a look for yourself, Polly. You always want to know what's up with Wonder Woman. Yes. Well, take a look. Take a good look there. May not be a Wonder Woman for you to read about much longer. And suddenly she goes, Here and Athena protect me. No. So, we've got the title, Game Over. John Byrne is writing and drawing this. Look at this. The pebbles, the building, just, the exquisite detail that John Byrne gives a scene. What a master storyteller. I'm such a huge fan, and so I want to dedicate every Wednesday to showing an issue of John Byrne and eventually, go through his entire Marvel and DC era. So we're now back at Gateway Theory, and if you've been following, I've covered every issue from 101 to current, and we've got this fake Doomsday Kid ready to throw this bus at Wonder Woman. You can see how hurt she looks. John Byrne doesn't skip around on words. But look at this. He could have just painted the bottom black, but he didn't. He just wants us to see, just enough to be able to see in there. And you can see Doomsday just lifting this up. And then from underneath come the hands, most likely the champions based on the bracelets, and pull down Doomsday, and you can see Wonder Woman is confused. As funny as I always say, he doesn't skip on the details on the lasso, he just does this. That's alright. And so here comes the champion, which is actually Hercules, and these here are like his pockets. So that's what these are for. It just looks a little out of place because he just makes him black with everything else. So this is an era of John Byrne where he would just black out. He wouldn't do the line. So if it was black, he just blacked it all out. So all right. So Wonder Woman pushes the truck aside because Wonder Woman is extremely powerful herself. You can see bam, crack, wham, pow, and just out comes the champion out from the punch from that Doomsday. Wonder Woman looks up and she flies toward him. And he's like, Wonder Woman, you recovered already. Of course. Far from it, but you seem to have recovered from being punched across town. I'm known for my resiliency, he says, and Doomsday comes out the from the ground. But so unfortunately is our foe. I tell you, if I could dedicate my channel to just John Byrne and Walt Simonson, I would, because they're just so good. But you know, I like other people too. There's a lot of comic books that I like, so that's what this channel's for. But definitely every Wednesday, there's going to be a John Byrne. So, all right. Doomsday throws that bus at them. And Champion says, "Is it my imagination or is Doomsday becoming more powerful as we battle?" You can see here that Doomsday just is tearing everything up. And Wonder Woman says, "No, you're right. It's as if he's drawing more and more power from the generators. You've got to do something, Lazarus. You've got to find a way to cut the power." And she says, "Even if I could, it wouldn't do any good. The virtual clone of Doomsday can run on stored power for weeks." And so we see the police here. Everybody freeze. You're Julian Lazarus, right? The one they called the Death Doctor. And the doctor says, "I'm Lazarus, yes. And how dare you come in bursting in here? This is private property." And the guy's like, "And this is a search warrant, doctor." I love it when they do that. "The fake Flash and Sinestro that attacked Wonder Woman were made from some kind of goop that you invented." And you can see here a tape of Wonder Woman. "And since Diana is right now fighting her third dead guy in a row, it seems like you might just have something to do with it." "Yes," says the woman here. "He's insane. He's turned the whole system over to the control of something he thinks is his dead son." So I wonder if they're going to do Wonder Woman versus Wonder Woman, because and so "Oh my land, I've been watching you do this sort of thing almost all your life, son." Long-haired Superman. Ugh, that's all right. But I don't think I'll ever get used to it. When I saw this tree growing up in Connecticut, I just knew it would be a perfect anniversary present for you and Pa. So he dug out this tree for them. By the way, trees, when you any plant, when you dig out, they dry out really quick. So I guess he used super speed, but there's still leaves in there. So all right. "It's just exactly like the one Pa and me used to sit under when we were courting," she says. "The one that awful blight killed 5 years ago." "I know," says Superman. "That's why I was thrilled when I spotted it." And here he is planting it. "And the man whose property it was growing on was happy to sell it to me. There, now it looks like it's always been there. It needs water and love, so God, I hate the long hair. Now, as soon as Pa gets back from town, Lando Goshen. What in the world? He's and Ma Ken is like, Jonathan, and Superman's like, Pa, what's wrong? The radio, son. Listen to the radio. And so, of course, they're talking about Doomsday. And she's like, Doomsday. And so they're giving the story how that Wonder Woman is fighting it. And he's like, I gotta go. And they're like, no. She's like, you can't, son. And he's like, Ma, what are you saying? Is that you can't go out and fight that thing again. Once already, he almost cost me, you, and I don't know, that it cost him. I couldn't bear to see it happen again. And Superman, God, I hate long-haired Superman. Oh, that this the 90s was not good for comic books. The late 90s. This Image, and I go on this tangent before in other comics. Image Comics, Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee, Mark Silvestri in particular, changed everything. And the big two decided, hey, people just like that stuff. Rob Liefeld too, to an extent. I'm not a huge Rob Liefeld guy, but that's okay. You can be. And they forced changes into comic books. One of them was, okay, so when they killed Superman, I had no problem with killing a Superman. You always knew he was going to come back. So killing Superman to itself wasn't the issue. But things like the freaking mullet and the long hair, I mean, why? I understand when he came back, he'd been gone and whatever, so he comes with the long hair, but why freaking keep it? Oh, it looks hideous. The Aquaman was changed, there was subsequent changes in art style. Everybody drew with the hatching, and everybody tried to be Jim Lee, and everybody tried to be Mark Silvestri and Todd McFarlane, and it killed the momentum of other establishing artists with unique styles to be able to take root, because the directive from the big two was draw like them and do things like them, and it just it really 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 sucked. The late 90s, you saw a push to try to get out of it, and I think that by the early 2000s we sort of established a newer era, but a lot of people were still doing that little, different things, and Superman was a byproduct. I mean, Batman, outside of the short Kelly Jones run, was unreadable. Particularly when they broke Batman's back, and I don't have a problem with the breaking of Batman's back. I just have a problem with the look, with what they did, with the whole. It just the way comic books were drawn, and the changes that they made to these characters to make them, I don't know, to make everyone look like Cable and Deadpool and Rob Liefeld and Jim Lee, and it just wasn't. So anyway, I digress. I don't have any choice, Ma. Wonder Woman is my friend, and even if she wasn't, from the day I decided to wear this uniform, I accept the implicit responsibility to do the right thing, always, no matter what the personal cost. Superman is the eternal hero, and off he goes. And so I love the two panels here as Superman's heading over there, and Wonder Woman and Champion are punching Doomsday. And so Wonder Woman says, "You were right, Champion. Our combined strength is enough to at least keep Doomsday off his feet." And Hercules, or Champion at this, but we can defeat him even with that. Okay, but can we defeat him even with that before his power builds to any point beyond anything we can deal with? And so look at this, just, oh goodness gracious, There's only one answer to that question as they go through again. Look at Byrne. Just, oh my goodness gracious. Um, so Wonder Woman and Champion punch that road. Um, and Cassie's like, "Oh man, I heard. Where did Diana go? I've got to." All of a sudden, she breaks that wall, and she's like, "Holy cow!" I tore a piece off the masonry like it was cardboard. And after Doomsday hit me, I remember Diana saying something about the Gauntlet of Atlas, and so I didn't know what it was I took from Diana's apartment along with the sandals of Hermes, but if it's making me strong enough to tear stone, um love how John Byrne draws kids. Um I really can do something. So back in the laboratory here, what do you expect me to do? Chris is in all the systems. He can reroute power faster than I can cut it off. It's not really Chris, Officer Score. Lazarus created a machine here that can generate what he calls virtual clones of living organism based on the electromagnetic matrix recorded on in a normal videotape. And Score's like, "You're kidding me." You've seen it, Officer. Flash and Estro were created in this lab. So was Doomsday, created by a replica of Chris. Lazarus that his father created in the computer banks of the labs, and which now control those computer banks. Why? I mean, I guess I can understand why you want to recreate your kid, especially if you felt responsible for his death, but why put him in control of the computers? Why rob yourself of the ability to turn the damn thing off? And Lazarus says, "That was never my intent, officer. I allowed Chris to access the virtual reality scanner and the tape library so he could amuse himself until I could prepare a stable body. But he didn't understand that what he thought were merely video games were real events with real consequences." And so we see here, so we're not ignoring that, but we're starting to read here. And then Lazarus complicated matters by telling the Chris replica that he isn't the real thing, that the real Chris is dead. And when he heard that, Chris shut down communication circuitry, and we haven't been able to talk to him since. All right, there has to be some straightforward way of dealing with this. What happens if we just start blowing stuff up? And then here this womanly creature says, "I would not recommend that, officer." And he's like, "What the or who? And I am called Decay. I'm the offspring of Medusa. And like my mother before me, I am death to all that is mortal." And he touches that officer, and you can see he croaks. I love how it just grabs the whole neck. "It's another one of those blaster clones. It has to be. Blaster." And she's like, "Excellent. This strange form is a great improvement over my original body. And my power is undiminished by the change," as she blows some kind of fire. "Excellent." And the whole thing falls on that police officer here. As So, back to the fight. "We're almost outdone, Princess. Yet we must keep battling, if only to contain Doomsday till other superpowered warriors arrive to help." And Wonder Girl shows up and says, "That would be me, Diana." And then she's like, "Ow, ow, ow. I almost broke my hand hitting that big clown." "Wonder Girl, get out of the way. I cannot fight Doomsday and watch over you. Your enhanced strength is not enough to protect you." And so I thought Superman said he could be there in 5 minutes. I'm sure more than 5 minutes of comic book time have passed. "Lazarus, think of something. We can't get to the power supply with that Decay dame standing guard. There's nothing I can do. I've tried to cut the power. I've tried to reduce it. Chris won't allow either. The Doomsday clone will just keep pulling more and more power, growing stronger and stronger. And so the lady says, wait, Lazarus, that's the answer. Chris won't let the power be cut or reduced. But I'll bet anything he hasn't done anything to prevent power being turned all the way up. And of course, Gore is like, what are you doing? You crazy? And so suddenly you see Doomsday just, Urgh. And she's like, gods and goddesses, we are truly lost, Wonder Woman. The monster's power is doubling with every step he takes. And so Wonder Woman says, there's one chance, one tiny chance. Wonder Girl, the Gauntlet of Atlas, throw it to me. Sure, I should have thought of that myself. And why didn't you use that thing before, Diana? And Wonder Woman says, I did once, but the Gauntlet of Atlas increases the strength of a wearer tenfold. At that level, my already superhuman strength becomes so great I cannot properly control it. But I must take that chance this time. The last chance we have against Wade. And so he has stopped moving. Is this some kind of trick or... No, he's frozen. He has mutated to such an extreme that the bony spurs which cover his body have locked altogether. And that means... sorry, I love this as she's about to hit it. Boom! This battle is done. And so, already late comes Superman. Great Scott, Diana smashed Doomsday into dust with a single punch. I knew she was powerful, but... Wait, my telescopic vision also tells me that the dust is not an organic substance. Then, it wasn't really Doomsday after all. But who could make a copy of him and why? I fly to Gateway City and find out, but... This soon after my breakup with Lois, I just don't know if I could face Diana. So this must be it before he gets married, which was another mistake, but that's alright. Okay, I'm gonna go on another tangent. Superman and Lois Lane. That marriage is idiotic. She's human, he is not. And not just that he's not human. He's freaking Superman, alright? So, it just doesn't work. That marriage, it just doesn't work. Think about it. Think he's super... he would break her in half. It just would not. So, alright. And so, Score says, it worked. Yes, it was the mutation that was the key. I guess that something like that would happen. You took a great risk, Margaret. No greater than you now. What about Chris? Chris is gone. The destruction of the clone caused the power feedback. It blew all the circuits into the virtual reanimator system. Chris is gone. Everything is gone. All the systems burned out and fused. It would take 10 years to recreate all this in years. And Mike is like, 10 years? You don't have 10 years. You're under arrest. I can't begin how much death and destruction this machine caused. But I'm going to see to it that you're put away before it can cause anything worse to happen, which of course we have here. So, thus endeth our issue.